Yo, guys, welcome to another episode of Gaming with Mr. C.
Gaming with Mr. C.
Gaming with Mr. C.
Gaming with Mr. C.
Today I wanted to talk to you guys a little bit about next-gen gaming. So guys, we're at a point right now where both Sony and Microsoft has taken the stage to unveil their console and the specs of the consoles. So let's first start off with the specs. It seems like the companies are taking two different approaches. Microsoft is going more for the power, whereas Sony is going more for the load, quickness, the speed. So it's going to be very interesting to see how this plays out. I think we kind of all understand that they're similar enough that really the difference is going to be in the exclusives. Games like Call of Duty, NBA, they're all going to pretty much look, run, and play the same. There may be some graphical differences on the Xbox or resolution-wise, but for the most part, I think they're going to be pretty similar. So from a physical standpoint, as far as cosmetically what the consoles look like, it's actually very funny to me because of all the memes out there. People are like, hey, you're going to buy the mini fridge or the router? Are you going to buy the bazooka or the white binder folder from elementary school, which is funny, and I don't mind taking jabs at it. As a matter of fact, this item right here was in my house, and I woke up, I was like, oh man, that kind of looks like a PS5, blue light and everything. But at the end of the day, I actually do like the way both consoles look. Again, I think they both took a different approach. Microsoft again going for performance, and Phil Spencer's come out and stated that he's built this with nothing but the console in mind as far as how it runs and plays. Like, you build the console and then we'll worry about what it looks like. And Sony went more with the aesthetics, make sure it looks nice. And honestly, I don't know if you've seen this comparison chart. Is actually the PS5 is kind of a behemoth in size. However, I think that they both again took a different approach. I think that they both look different, and that's what I do like, that they took a different approach to it instead of, hey, here's a black box. At the end of the day, does it really matter? Honestly, for me, no. Outside of the unveiling, and when I first get that console, like, I look at it every day, oh man, it's a beautiful new toy. After that, man, I don't care, honestly. As long as it plays games and the visual fidelity and the game runs smooth, that's really what your boy Mr. C cares about. So guys, I guess the biggest surprise so far has been the fact that Sony has come out and announced two different consoles, one with a disc and one without a disc tray. They appear to be the same cosmetically, except for the disc tray slots, and they're supposed to have the same performance. Now, it's also rumored that Microsoft's going to do the same thing with a console they have codenamed Lockhart. So it's still the time going to be to tell what's going to exactly happen there. Microsoft does have another event coming in July, and that's when we're going to really see the first-party games and maybe the Lockhart and pricing, but it's still wait to see. It's really anybody's guess on price. I personally feel that Sony is releasing the discless one to kind of lower that cost. I mean, most gamers now do digital purchasing, but I think if they were to release the console at $600, it would offend a lot of people and kind of slow down the sales numbers. But by doing a discless one, you can bet that console is going to be at least $100 cheaper. So that would kind of bring it into that $500 price range, where I think more people are comfortable, or $400 and $500, and still people are more comfortable with the lower the price. So I mean, that's just simple economics there. So there's still time to tell what's going to happen there. I would love to hear what you guys think is going to be the best price point, what you expect the price point to be. Personally, I think that 500 is going to be the low-end number. All right, guys, so the other thing is, what's really important, I guess, is the games. Like, that's what gaming's about, right? So Sony has unveiled quite a few games this past week, about 20 games. Microsoft had an event a couple weeks ago of third-party games, some exclusive, some not, about 15 of them, and they've alluded to some first-party games, but their major event is in July, where they're going to unveil, I guess, the rest of their first-party games and maybe some other things. So instead of going through all 40, 50, 60 games on here, that would take forever, I decided to compile a list of 10 games in no specific order, but just 10 games that I think are important to keep an eye on, and games that I'm kind of excited for. So we're going to run through those 10 games here real quick. So the first game is going to be Kano, which is a timed PS5 exclusive game, which means that it's going to be eventually on the Xbox. This is a game that honestly when I first saw it, I was like, man, this game looks like Cameo, and I loved Cameo. I think it needed some work, and I definitely think it could have used a sequel, but especially graphically. I mean, look how good this game looks. So this is definitely one I think you guys, especially your more older school gamers, who are kind of into that platform action adventure type of game, I definitely think you need to keep your eyes out on this one. The next one is NBA 2K. This one's more so just because I love NBA so much, not just the sports, but also the video games, and I think most of the gaming community kind of holds NBA 2K fondly. And the greatest thing about NBA, first off, it is going to be on all the consoles, but one of the greatest things I always liked about NBA is it's very easy to kind of see the graphical prowess of the systems when they launch, usually with NBA, because they do look so good. So the third game, guys, obviously is going to be Halo Infinite. Now Halo, we had about a 5-minute trailer about last year of it. It didn't have a lot of really any gameplay. We don't know graphically if that's what it's going to look like or not. But just Halo in general, I mean, you only get to experience that once a console. It's kind of like an eclipse. So obviously I'm very excited for it, and it's very heavily slated to be a launch title, which makes getting an Xbox even more exciting, especially on the Game Pass where you don't have to buy it.
Looks like the main power cell.
My next game is going to be Spider-Man Miles Morales. Now this is a game that is going to be on the PS5. They haven't stated if it's going to be PS4 and PS5, but right now they've just stated PS5. Now this isn't going to be a full-blown game. This is going to be a game more in the vein of Uncharted, Lost Legacy, or Far Cry New Dawn. But either way, man, I love the new Spider-Man multiverse movie with Miles Morales. I love the character, and I love the old Spider-Man game on the PS4. So I definitely think this should be one you should look out for, and it's going to be releasing in that launch window. So again, another reason to get that PS5 up and going.
Now it's your turn. Go be a hero, Miles.
Okay, let's do this.
This next one was a surprise to a lot of people, and that is The Village of Resident Evil. I love Resident Evil. It's one of my favorite franchises. It's going to be on both consoles again. My issue with Resident Evil is I don't think this is Resident Evil at its core. The game still looks great. I'll still check it out, and I think you should as well. I guess can we just call it The Village and just leave M. Night Shyamalan and Resident Evil out of it?
But the forest greeted them with a dark, cold silence. The bushes empty. Yet determined to find the berries, the rascal broke free of Mother's grasp and vanished into the trees. Mother's worried cries faded fast as the girl ran on, over vine, under branch, and into the forest deep.
What is it with that creepy story?
It's just a local tale.
You're really into that stuff?
Quit being so paranoid.
So the next one is The Voices in My Head, Hellblade 2, coming out on the Xbox Series X, and I definitely, this game was one of my favorite games of this current generation that we're in. I just love the story, the graphics, the way they told the story. So I'm very excited to see what they're going to have in store for us going forward. Again, this one is going to be using the Unreal 5 engine, and they said that they even have come up with new ways to storytell. So I'm very excited for this, and I think from a technical standpoint, you should be as well. So next on the list is a PS5 exclusive as well, Horizon 2 basically. This is a new IP that Sony did on the PS4, and it's great fanfare, great game. My next
The
game on
old
this list
ones.
is Bright Memory Infantry. It was the one that was showed at the Xbox. It is going to be on both consoles. It just kind of looks like Time Splitters meets like Psychonauts. Graphically, it looks incredibly impressive, and I just like the way that the gameplay looks. This is one that is high on my must-check-out list. We have Hitman 3, again on all consoles. Hitman over the last generation has really impressed me. I've always liked Hitman, but just the fact that the way that they've kind of made it more open-ended, like, hey, here's this level, and you have hundreds of ways to basically assassinate this person, and the way that they do it more episodically, you just load Hitman, you could play any of these levels from Hitman 1 or 2. Don't know yet if we're going to be doing that with Hitman 3, but even graphically, I mean, this game was just great looking. The first two were as well.
And now, you find yourself alone. Only death awaits.
And then finally, guys, we have Valhalla. And Valhalla was a very hard one for me. Obviously, it's Assassin's Creed, so you're immediately excited for it. However, they haven't shown anything on it. So it's kind of weird, but it's still on that list because, I mean, it is Assassin's Creed. And Assassin's Creed always takes advantage of that first-year console and making sure it looks well and plays well.
Godless barbarians. They murder and kill blindly.
So guys, right now we still have a lot to learn about these two consoles, UI mainly, exact launch dates, not just holiday, what the launch titles are going to be, because I think that that's very important, as well as the features that they're going to have. So there's going to be some more time to tell. I really do think that this event in July from Microsoft is going to be very telling, but I really think that by August, by the end of August, we're going to have all that concrete information. So please hit the subscribe and like button so you can continue to get this information, and so we can join Next Gen together.
Gaming with Mr. C.
Gaming with Mr. C.
Gaming with Mr. C.